Hey everyone, this is Frugal Panda here. Let's do an e-bike ride. This is in Dillon Reservoir, which Dillon Reservoir is a water reservoir, of course, up in Dillon, Colorado area. It is surrounded by Frisco, Colorado, Silverthorne, and Dillon itself. This reservoir is actually for the city of Denver, which the waters are they're under the control of Denver Water, believe it or not. Even though this place is about an hour and 30 minutes, I'd say an hour and some minutes from Denver. So it's kind of strange to say, but no, it's really true. This was a beautiful day. We came up here, me and my wife. We've never ridden up here. If you like fishing here, they have rainbow trout, brown trout, sockeye, salmon, smallmouth bass, and other fish there. This is located in Summit County, Colorado. So that's the county it's in. This is the mountains. So the drive actually is really easy, though. It's not a hard drive. I think it's really great. Like I said, we've never been here. I am riding the Lectric XP step through bike. She is riding it's basically a Zen roll. They don't make it anymore. It's basically their white label bikes. These companies buy them and they throw whatever name brand they want to put on them. This bike, like I said, is similar to probably Electric XP 1.0, except for it has front shocks. It has a little bit better amenities than the old Electric XP 1.0. Plus, it's really fast. I've done, with me on it at 6 foot, over 200 pounds, I've done over 32 miles an hour on this e-bike on flat ground. I will leave links in the description for very similar bikes. They're basically, a lot of them are really similar, like an ENGWE and stuff like that. This is a cheap bike. I paid $600 and some dollars, I think it was, for this e-bike, and it's been a rock star. I've had no real issues with it. I had an issue with the pedals, but I was able to put them back on and do a Loctite, and that might have been partially my fault. I'm usually really good about tightening it, and I might have been kind of half doing it with the tightening, and so one of them fell off and they were hard getting back on. But then I did get them back on, and I have not had an issue with them since then. Riding that bike, I enjoy riding it. It has no problem taking me around and riding me. Let me give you some specs on this bike, and like I said, they're basically white label bikes. If you look them up, you'll see 1,000 of them, 100 of them on here with the same specs. It's a 20-inch fat tire bike. It is the same size as an Electric XP 1.0. It's a 7-speed. It's 4-inch fat tires. It uses the same type of tires, those CSTs that a lot of these e-bikes use. My Electric XP 3.0 might actually have them same tires on it, but just in 3-inch version now. It's got a 500-watt motor, and it screams when it gets going. Like, you can go, like I said, I go over 30 miles an hour. My wife can ride it in level 3 because, of course, she weighs 70 pounds less than me or something, so she flies on it, and then the range is much better with her on it. It's going to be a 48 volt 10.4 AH lithium ion battery. They claim 40 to 50 miles in pedal assist modes and 20 to 25 miles on throttle, with a 4 to 5 hour charge. And if you look at a lot of these with the 500 watts, you will see on Amazon they all have about the same specs. With me on it, how I ride, I can burn it up pretty quick, and like 20-25 miles is usually the range I will get on it. Now, if I was conservative and I rode it the way you're supposed to, I could definitely get more than that. That 48 volt 10.4 AH battery will not work in my step through. The step through Electric XP has a different style of battery, how it connects, than a regular Electric XP 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. Now, if I had the regular Electric XP and not the step through one, that battery should be able to fit in to that Electric XP, as well as the Electric XP battery fit into this. Like I said, a lot of these companies, they share a lot of the parts. The difference between the step through my bike and this bike is a step through plus tax is $1,200, so probably around $1,300 with tax when it's on sale. For the long range. Now, for the standard range, it's about $1,000, I believe, plus tax. So probably around, $1,100, I would guess, with tax. For the same thing, it's going to have a 14. It's going to have the 48 10.4 AH battery. Sounds about the same, right? So, but this bike was, like I said, around $600, I'm pretty sure. And it is faster. Now, one thing I will say about my step through now, the newest one I got, it is a faster than the old ones because it has a higher peak and it is a stronger battery than what it used to be. Or not battery, I apologize. Motor. The motor is stronger. I want to say the old peak was like 750 watts versus this one now is 1,000 peak, 1,000 watts peak power, and it is a quieter motor. If you saw some of my old videos of Lectric XP 1.0, that bike was loud. People are like, what is that? You start going by and they start looking at you more than anything. This is a much quieter bike. Lectric XP has refined this bike a lot more. It's still electric, which is, I'm not saying it's a knock on it. It is a budget brand bike. It's a good budget brand bike, I think. Do I think it's as good as Rad Power? No, I don't. And I'll give you guys a little hint. I have got a new e-bike, and guess who it's from? It's from Rad Power, and I will be doing a review on it. If I don't get it out before I go on my West Coast trip, I'll get it out after. There's no real hurry, and I want to say this is probably my best e-bike I've had yet. And like I said, Rad Power has never disappointed me on their e-bikes. I know they had an issue with the tires with some people in the day, and they had to do a recall on that. I get that. But the quality and all that, there's no issues. My last folding bike I had from them was the Rad Mini version 4. And the main issue with it, they may have seemed almost the same size, them and the Lectric XP's folding bikes, but I felt a lot more confined on that bike. I thought it was built really well. I thought it had a great motor. I thought it was just a decent bike. No, let me reverse that. It was a good bike. It was built really well, and I think it was very well refined, especially for a higher end budget bike. But it was just it felt a little smaller to me personally than the Lectric XP, which I think can hold a taller rider and longer legged rider than the old Rad Minis. And I said I got a new bike. Let me rewind that. Yes, I will be doing a review. Yes, I will ride it here and there. I got my wife a new bike. Because this is, to be honest, my wife always gets my hand-me-down electric bikes. So if I didn't have this bike, she'd be riding my little mini bike. So I went out and I was going to get me a bike, and I said, you know what? And a disclaimer, I also got a new battery for my Electric XP, but I went through a different source and got an authentic Electric XP battery, but I saved over $100 and some buying it from this source for a standard range. So now I have two batteries that fit this step-through batteries. So I decided to get her a bike instead of me and I like this bike so much, I will end up probably getting one like it or a similar version, but she's got a nice bike now. So, and I actually converted it to where I did a little modification. She can also put the baby carriage on there, our baby trailer. It's really for little kids, but we use it for our French Bulldog. We don't have little kids anymore. And so she can actually use it on her new bike, but that'll be once I do the review. I haven't put all I've done is the unboxing, and she's rode it and then took the dog on a ride, but I haven't really did any real review of it. I've rode it around enough, and we're only talking a few miles, and I can tell you off the top of my head that Rad Power one I did get is probably the best e-bike I've gotten yet out of all the bikes I've had, and just the build quality and everything. It's just a good bike. She is very happy with this bike. So she no longer has a hand-me-down bike. She has a good bike. And I decided on this is I helped two older ladies put their bikes on, and they're probably my age, but helped them put their bikes on the rack after a long ride when we were up here. And I was really impressed by those bikes that they had, that I wanted to go to the Rad Power store. Let's get back to the Electric XP and this bike. What is my issue with this bike, the little Amazon budget bike? I have no issues. I've had no major problems with it. It has decent range for what it is. It has the same range as my regular standard Electric XPs. It uses the same exact battery as them too, except for my long range. I have the bigger battery for it, but now I have a standard battery too, which is actually would be the same ampage and age as this one she's riding. It's a quick bike. I can't remember if this one has a built-in oh my gosh, horn. It may, I just can't remember. I think it does. The connectors for this, I apologize, not the connectors, but the display and the buttons for it are so much simpler than the buttons on, say, my Lectric XP 3.0. You want to turn the headlight on. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can turn it on. Example is my wife, before I got her the new bike, she took it over to her friend's house, which they were having a birthday party, and she lives probably about maybe 5 miles on trails from our house, maybe. And she came back at dark, and around dark, and I said, "Did you turn on the headlight?" She said, "No, I couldn't figure it out because you got to hit like two buttons and doing all this." And people, someone chime, "Oh, it's not that hard." It shouldn't be hard at all. It should be, you literally look at the display, and there should be a button for headlight. It should be self-explanatory. Me, I know it, but we have, so in my house now, I have 4 e-bikes. I have a Rad Power, I have this Lectric XP, I have this white label Amazon e-bike, kind of Lectric XP standard knockoff. And then I have a little mini e-bike. It's not that small. It's a 400 watt. It's a good little bike. No issues. Has a good size battery. I'll leave a link for that one in the description too, and similar styles for that one too. You've seen in some of my other videos. But anyway, getting back to it, she couldn't figure it out and drove back in the dark with no headlights. So like back when we were kids, when you were a kid back in the day, you rode like that, but we're not kids anymore. You need a headlight, especially with busy streets and stuff. But her new e-bike, she got the Rad Power. I think it has an automatic where it recognizes when the lights, it's getting dark out, and it will cut them on for you. And it has a brake light. So when you press on the brake, it lights up in the back, which is really cool. Now this bike, it has a decent headlight for a cheap one. I'd say I put on the level as the one I have on my Lectric XP right now. Fat tires, comfortable. I inflate them a little higher so you get better range. With her on it, like I said, this bike flies. She's probably in level 3 max. She'll never go to 4 or 5. And I'm guaranteed I'm in level 3 with an unlocked Lectric XP. So, and she can fly and go past me. She has to slow down sometimes because of her weight. It goes faster for her, and the range is much better. So you see this guy passing us. We're riding slower. He would never pass us if I was in front, and I kept pushing her to go ride further. They wouldn't even be, I just leave them behind a lot of times. And a lot of times I also do that because I don't like them riding up behind me, because a lot of them do not use they don't say anything, and then they don't use bells or don't have bells. So I kind of like to keep my distance from some of them. There's some good bike riders, but there's also some that are kind of obnoxious and don't want to use their bell, things like that. I try to use different, etiquette with people. I'll ring my bell well before I'm close to them. Then I'll ring it once more. If it's broke, I'll say something before I even get close. And I also slow down some. I'm not trying to blast past people that are walking their dogs or anything, because you never know. No one knows you're there and make a quick movement or something. There's no reason for all that. I try and be a good e-bike rider. Some bike riders, regular bike riders, are not good bike riders in that. But I do my thing. And some people ask, does anyone hassle you when you're on riding your e-bikes on these trails? There are so many e-bikes out here with older people, younger people, couples, kids. No. Every once in a while when you go somewhere, someone may say something to you. Me personally, maybe 2 or 3 times in my life has someone said something to me, and it's usually I had some older guy say something real random to me, and I couldn't even hear what he said. I think it was something rude, but I was paying him no attention. He was in his own little world. And mostly ain't nobody gonna say nothing. Someone will say, "Oh," sometimes I've heard like, "Oh, you're riding a cheater bike." No, I'm just riding an e-bike. I wanted to get out because I'm be honest with you, if I wasn't riding this bike, I wouldn't be up here. I mean, I'd be up here, but I'd be in the city walking around in Frisco and the little towns and cities around here, but I wouldn't be on this trail. So cheater bike or whatever, it's honestly, and I tell people, it's none of your business. By the time we get done with this ride right here, we have ridden 30 miles. And so we've ridden about 30 miles. Now this trail, let's get to the Dillon Reservoir. This trail you're taking, it's very nice. It's all paved. There's tons of places to stop along the way. This trail will take you to different cities. You can ride it into Frisco one way. You can ride it into Dillon the other way. I think you can ride it into Silverthorne. There's multiple places. It goes on forever. which is really cool. It's a lovely trail. You can see all the land, different changing, landscape changing. There's elevation drops. There's elevation going up. Dillon may be at, so the elevation of Dillon Reservoir, so where we're at. I know when I say this, people are like, "Wow, that's crazy." It's at 9,000 feet. So we're at around 9,000 feet or above. So we're up there. These are high mountain towns and high areas. I would recommend this trail for multiple people. I've seen older people on it. I've seen people with special needs, like with equipment and stuff like that. I saw an old family with their mother or grandmother with a rollator or a walker. A lot of people know it as, walking along the trail. But I tell people, depending on the time, just be mindful, be careful. You use trail etiquette with people. Like I said, I'm not going to blast past you at almost 30 miles an hour. The only time I really pick up to that speed is I start seeing like regular bike riders behind me, because it's not that I don't like them, but I know if I let them pass me, I'm going to end up passing them probably 10 minutes from now or something when they hit a hill. So I might get in a little higher gear real quick and just dust them real quick if there's no one really around, just to get them back a little bit and get to the next elevation when the elevation goes up again. Because if not, I'll catch them later on. I always do. Then I have to pass them again. We play this seesaw thing. So I'd rather just leave you behind, and plus so I can enjoy my ride. But I'm riding most of this level 3, if you're curious, unlocked. So it'd go about 20 miles an hour. Also with range, I do not use the throttle when I'm going long range, and I try not to use the throttle anyway, because I do want to get somewhat of some exercise. And we were riding in, let me rewind it, we weren't just riding in level 3, it was 2 and 3. I apologize. So level 2 and 3 we are riding, and 2 gets me to about 15-16 miles an hour. 3 will get me at about 20-21. So it'd be like level 5 if it was locked. But like I said, here you saw my wife's really noticing it. She wasn't too keen on e-bikes in the beginning, but it's really grown on her and seeing that what we can do, places we can go, and just the things we can see. So if you want an e-bike, everyone, I'm not telling you to get Lectric XP. I'm not telling you to get Rad Power. Get whatever you think fits your needs. Would I spend $10,000 on an e-bike? I would never spend. I ride motorcycles. I have a motorcycle endorsement. I would never spend that much money on a bike, unless I was a professional rider, or I'm really serious about it, because it is an e-bike. Your battery deteriorates over time, all that stuff. Reason you're seeing a dirt trail here, it was all paved, is because we were going to the bathroom probably, or something right here. Both these bikes are fat tire bikes. They did great. So here we are going back onto the pavement again, but I think there was like porta potties or something back there, if you're curious of why, or we're going towards them, something like that. But I'll say, get whatever meets your needs. The main thing is getting out. Look at where we're at. We got mountains around us, beautiful little homes. We stopped at a little gas station in, I think, Dillon, and got us some little foo-foo drinks they had there. We sat there and drank our little drinks and hung out. And then when we were done with all this riding, we went into Frisco, walked around this cute little town. You can see my video on our visit to Frisco, some of my video footage I took there. And man, we walked around. We enjoyed our time. We got a bite to eat there. Just, we're older. We're adults. When you're younger, sometimes you don't take in a lot of things. Some people, luckily, when they're younger, they do figure out, hey, let me take in all this stuff. But a lot of us, when we're young, we don't. But as you get older, you start noticing things about places. And we enjoyed our time up here. But these e-bikes got us out doing all this. So I tell you, younger or older, get you something like this. I'm not 60 years old. I'm not 70 years old. I'm not 80 years old. But if you're in decent health, you get one of these step throughs. I say step through if you got an injury. I don't have any injuries. I don't know. I just ended up getting the step through. The only thing I regret about my step through is if I knew the batteries didn't fit, I would have got a regular one. So I could use the battery in hers when she's not with me, so I can have dual batteries, and that's it. 2 batteries when one runs out. Regardless, that's not a big deal. I now have two batteries anyway. But look at this. We're out here doing this. If you're 80 years old right now, you're 70 years old, you're in your late 60s, maybe you do have some health conditions, you can most of the time still do this a lot of times. You know, you can see all this, and you get a little exercise. Exercise on e-bikes is dependent on what level of pedal assist you're on. If you're on a 2, you're going to get a way better workout than a 5. If you're on a 1, you're really going to get a workout because you're on 1 that it's helping you, but not as much. And like my bike is almost 70 pounds. So you're like almost riding a 70-pound bike with very little assistance, especially with this elevation going up and down all the time. So you're going to get a workout even more. For me, 3 is the sweet spot, but I have her with me, and she will only go so fast as she starts getting scared sometimes, I think, because that bike is quick, and it's quick, and the power comes on fairly fast, especially if you're lighter. Anyway, go check out Dillon Reservoir. I think it's a great place to visit. Like I said, you can ride to the towns, go right into them, and get bites to eat. Also, Frisco, there's e-bike rental places and regular bike rental places. So when we were in Frisco, Colorado, which is down the street from here, we saw so many people riding around on e-bikes, so many people from out of town, out of different countries, in town, riding e-bikes and enjoying themselves. Wear your helmet when you're on these. If you see me turning, so I'm turning. First, I was like, why is my GoPro keep turning? Because usually I have it mounted on the handlebars, but I'm with her, so I have my helmet on riding here, and also I'm wearing them because I don't really know what's going on here until I start riding it to see how safe it is. And so if you see me turning, I'm turning my head. That's what it is. But it gives you an idea of what we're working with too. I'm trying to think of any questions that people would ask me about it. Comfortable. One thing I always recommend with mostly all e-bikes, go ahead and upgrade your seat to something you really like. I like softer. I like a little bit springier. So both seats are different. I'll leave links in the description for this. The seats I actually have on these e-bikes. She has a shock. I guess it's a shock absorber like style seat post with the comfy seat, so it gives a little go when she goes over bumps, so it's not super harsh with hers. It works really well, to be honest with you. I think it's great. I wouldn't mind having a little house up here. I think it's kind of cool. Would I want to live up here, year round? Probably not, because it's at 9,000 elevation. So snow would be cool, but a lot of snow all the time would not be very cool. Dillon Reservoir, if I didn't say that, has 26 miles of shoreline. It's man-made underneath Dillon. And this is a trip under the Dillon Reservoir. Is the original town of Dillon that they actually moved. So there's a town in that water. So that's a trip. I read that. I was like, wow, that's really cool and kind of sad because they forced some people to leave, I'm sure. It's 180 feet deep. And the average temperature here is around 38 degrees because it's on the chillier side. So for paddle boarders, if you're paddle boarding, and there's tons of paddle boarders up here if you're curious, and kayakers, wear wetsuits because you could get hypothermia, and plenty of sunscreen. Colorado is a state that gets more sunshine than most other states. It's a beautiful state, but wear your sunscreen and be mindful. Just be smart out here. You can dehydrate and all that good stuff. We have deserts as well as mountains. Anyway, that was our ride. They both did well. No issues. I'll leave some links in the description for everything. Go check out Dillon Reservoir. Lectric XP 3.0 did well, and so did the white label e-bike. Thanks for watching, everyone. Frugal Panda out. Check out my next videos coming up in the future. It's going to be my West Coast trip coming in September.